Yo, what's up guys? Corey Sandman Sandhagen here. Welcome to another week of Breakdown sponsored by our guys over at Sheaf. Make sure that you guys are checking them out. Link is in the description. Today guys, we're gonna talk big time against this Ian Garry versus MVP fight, which I was most excited for. I wanted to see a lot more striking. I really have to say that I did, but that's how you beat MVP. Okay, so good on Ian Garry for doing what he needed to do to beat maybe one of the UFC's best up and coming strikers. And not even to say that condescendingly, because MVP is obviously, you know, been around for a really long time. One of the best strikers in the UFC. He's going to continue to crush it. He's going to continue to get better. Can't wait to watch him fight again. Good on Ian Garry. Let's get into what happened. Cool guys. Okay, so my highly most anticipated fight that I was really curious about on this card, MVP versus Ian Garry. Okay, Ian Garry obviously being a little bit more of a traditional kickboxer. Okay, trains at shoot box. Kind of has, because the Brazilian style is a lot like the Dutch style, this like really grounded, rooted, high guard style. My shoulders are really bladed. My feet are not, or I'm sorry, my shoulders are really square. My feet are really square. I'm not bladed off like this, okay? The reason that I was so excited about this one is because when you have someone that's just two guys that are really incredible strikers, but their styles are completely different, it makes for a really curious and interesting fight. And I think that both of these guys are really like students of the game, like MVP and Ian Garry. When I hear them speak, they definitely really have an understanding of their process and how fighting actually works beyond just like going out and fighting. So I was really curious about this one. Let's talk about the striking piece of this, okay? Like I said, Ian Garry being square, having a high guard, and kind of being plotty and weighty on MVP, all right? MVP being the bladed guy, really hoppy, in and out, hands down, super, super awesome. MVP definitely got the better half of, obviously, the striking in these exchanges, okay? Let's talk about why this works for MVP, because he's the more unique guy who is really interesting to talk about, okay? Because you don't see that style everywhere. First of all, being in this bladed of a stance, it takes a lot of danger off of the table of people trying to attack you, okay? The reason is because I can fight with my hands down. I'm not showing you any of my body, so it's very hard to hit me in my body unless you're gonna round kick on this side, which Ian was smart enough to be able to do. But outside that, like, I'm not giving you any of my body, and when you go to attack my head, it's very easy for me to lean and hide behind this shoulder, and it's very easy for me to just bounce myself out, circle out, bounce again, circle out, bounce again, circle out, boom, okay? He stays really bladed at his opponents. With this, you can get really good at making it appear like you're gonna go in or back up and then do the opposite. So when Ian wants to try to hit MVP, when MVP goes to throw an attack at Ian, he's really good at being like, nope, I'm just gonna back up. If Ian goes to attack, whether it's a kick or a punch or anything, he can just hide his head, lean away. All you're really giving is the low kick. Ian didn't do too many of those. That's really all that you're giving. And MVP is definitely, obviously, really savvy to that, as I'm sure that that's been a lot of people's game plans. But he just gets himself out the way, boom, moves a little bit, gets himself out the way. When you think that he's gonna go away, that's when MVP hits these blitzes. The way that he does this is he loads his weight on his back foot and rushes forward here. He usually feints some type of attack off of it. Sometimes he hit Ian with a really good, off of this bounce, lower jab, and then went overhand, which I was actually surprised Ian just ate, because that was a super, super hard shot. But it happened off of this, hey, you think I'm not gonna come in, but I am, lower my stance, and then throw an overhand. When you're watching a guy like this, it's like watching a guy in static. And when people don't really stop moving, it gets really hard to read what it is that they're doing. That's like a really important thing that I think gets overlooked a lot, especially guys that aren't as experienced, or you guys that are like hobbyists at home, is it's really hard to read movement, because that's essentially what you're doing with striking. It's like Dance Dance Revolution. You're just trying to read a bunch of movement. If I stand here like this at you and every movement I make is an attack, it doesn't make it that hard to read. definitely doesn't make it not dangerous, but it definitely makes it really hard to read. So when you're being this really bouncy guy like this, it can be super hard to read all of this movement. You don't know whether you're going back, in, out, all of that. So that's why those blitzes work with this style, as well as the reason that MVP can fight with his hands down and be so safe all the time is, one, this allows for good space, but two, I'm giving no body and hardly any of my face. And it's really easy for me just to shoulder off or circle off and just keep my bladed body at him, okay? The good things that Ian did, okay, because he definitely wasn't winning the striking exchanges, but that's fine. If you're fighting MVP, like, yeah, take that full down, that's the answer, all right? But one really awesome thing that Ian did that I think people aren't giving enough credit for because they're calling it a boring fight and all of this stuff, I guarantee you, you would have taken that full down also. But one of the really awesome ones that Ian did, he's here like this, I forget righty or lefty stance, doesn't matter. MVP goes to throw his left round kick, okay? I think it was on his lead side. When he does, Ian catches the kick and runs him over. That's a really, really good idea sometimes, okay? The way that these types of kicks kind of work over top is they come from a point karate background, which means power isn't the thing that is the most valued or anything like that. It's speed and precision, okay? So when MVP throws that high kick, he's not really throwing it with a ton of heat. He's not throwing it like a Alex Pereira, boom, like smoke him with the left head kick. He's throwing it to try to score points, of course hurt the guy, but just to score points. So Ian can kind of eat this kick, boom, takes it a little bit on the shoulder, catches the kick, and runs him over, which was a super smart idea on Ian's part. Really good on getting like to a body lock, trips, yanking him down, and then keeping him down, taking his back. So good on Ian, man. Ian found a way to beat probably one of the best strikers that we're ever gonna see in the UFC. I know that that sounds a little bit weird, but that style, done properly, is one of the most biggest pain in the ass, hardest things to read. Like look at Wonderboy, like Wonderboy, who's also really good at that style. Wonderboy doesn't lose striking matches. Like that style is very, very good for MMA. It has its issues a little bit in entangling grappling, and obviously if you can't grapple better than the other person, it can be sometimes a little bit easy to take you down. But if you can do all those things, very, very big pain in the ass. So good on MVP, good on Ian for making the reads, fighting the correct fight. That's that. Peace. See you guys. Love you.